good to see everyone. Thank you for joining this webinar. We are going to have a few of these. We'll have another one next year, I think, but initially it's good to get this out there. It's been a crazy year, but we thought we would proceed with this anyway, just getting ready for next year when people might be interested in having a few more supports. So I wanted just to talk to you a little bit about why Bailey House is involved with Hireup and why we're bringing you this webinar. We often have a lot of people contacting us, asking us for recommendations for staff to work with family members after hours or on weekends. And often we don't have people to do that. Where we do have people, we'll send them to you, but where we don't, we're always a little bit stuck, and we can refer people on. But I find that a lot of people are not confident or know where to go if they are needing extra supports out of the Bailey House time. There's a few sole traders, I guess you could call them, so staff members wandering around who are doing this type of work, but they don't always have the right insurances or the policies and procedures to kind of back the work that they're doing. And the advantage with partnering with someone like Hireup is they're an established business. They've got all of that background, that structure, that foundation there, and we feel that it's a good, reliable option for families outside of the hours that we can deliver to you. So I might hand over to Peter or Poppy. So I'm not sure which one I'm handing over to, but we've got Peter and Poppy and also Patrick here, and maybe one other is coming just from Hireup. So they're actually based, one is, I'll let them share where they're based, but we've been talking for quite some time about getting this off the ground and involving families and just giving this as another option for our Bailey House community. So this might not be for you, it might be for you, but it's great for you to come along and just get some more information. And feel free afterwards, if you do have any questions and you want to follow up with me, I'm more than happy to talk to you or to connect you with some of the Hireup team to answer any questions that you might have. So with Zoom too, there may be a few people that will pop in and pop out. So just bear with the squares that might keep changing. You can change your view on Zoom just so you can have the speaker, so you won't see as much popping in and out, if that's helpful. And just remember, if you want to talk, you can use the chat function down the bottom. You can just talk, you can take yourself off mute or give us a wave. But yeah, we hope you enjoy this. So over to you, Peter.
Thanks very much, Natasha. And thank you very much to everybody for joining tonight. It's lovely to have you here. I think Poppy's going to talk a little bit about Hireup and kind of our story, where we come from. I'm going to talk a little bit about how Hireup works and show you some of the ways it works. And then we've got Lynn here as well. Lynn is a Hireup ambassador. So she does a lot of work connecting people to Hireup and explaining how Hireup works. She's also a person seeking support on Hireup. And so really looking forward to hearing from Lynn as well about how she uses Hireup. And then we'll open up to questions at the end, and all questions are encouraged. But maybe just before we get into the questions, I'll just do a quick introduction, and I'll get Poppy, Patrick and Lynn from the Hireup side to do a quick introduction and say hello. So hello everybody, my name's Peter Willis. I work at Hireup. My role at Hireup, I've got a great role. It's focused on partnerships. So it's about finding other great organizations like Bailey House and finding ways to work together to get great outcomes. So I'm very, very excited to be here, and thank you very much for having us. Thanks for turning up on 5:30 on Tuesday. I'll now maybe hand over to Poppy and get her to do a quick introduction.
Yeah, great. I will quickly introduce myself, hand it over to Pat and Lynn, and then I'll take the mic again and give you a bit of the story and the background around Hireup. So my name's Poppy. I look after sort of a lot of the things relating to engaging with the disability sector and government and helping the business engage in new ventures, new initiatives and programs. I've been with Hireup for 5 years and I've worked in the disability sector for probably about 15. So prior to Hireup, I worked for a large not-for-profit in New South Wales. So yeah, that's me. I hand it over to you, Pat.
Hi there, I'm Pat. I work with Peter in the partnerships team here at Hireup. I've been working at Hireup for 3 and a bit years now. I've worked in various teams across Hireup, but also for the past 4 years I've worked on the platform as a support worker, so I get to see how the platform works each week, providing support to someone. and I'll hand it over to Lynn.
Thank you. I'm Lynn Foreman. I'm also an ambassador for Hireup, but I also use the platform, and I'm a person with disability.
Thanks, Lynn. And yeah, we'll hear more, especially from Lynn, about her experience. I think it's all well and good to hear from Peter and I about how it all works, but I think when you can really join the dots is when you hear from someone who actually does use it on a practical level day to day, and the impact of having real choice and control over your supports can have. So as I said, I'm Poppy. I've been with Hireup since the very, very early days. I had a few slides, but I think I might just talk casually to it because you'll see Peter's screen soon. So the things I'd love to cover with you is where Hireup came from, because it's a really personal story and one embedded in some really deep lived experience. A little bit about how Hireup's going to date. We're a national platform, so we've got relatively large scale now over the last 5 years, and just who it's sort of generally working for and how it's working. So Hireup started in about 2015, and it was started by a brother-sister duo, Jordan O'Reilly and Laura O'Reilly, who actually, I believe, Natasha and some of the Bailey House team have met, and they've come up to Sydney and spent time with Jordan and Laura. Prior to Hireup, they actually started a social enterprise called Fighting Chance, and that was about creating employment opportunities and social enterprises for people with a disability who otherwise seem to be getting a little bit left out of the employment market or the vocational employment market. So they've got a really successful business in Sydney that's expanding actually into a couple of other states. But where this passion for building great businesses in the disability sector came from was Jordan and Laura had a younger brother, and his name was Shane, and he had cerebral palsy, and he needed pretty intensive support. So help him out of bed in the morning to access, the things that he wanted to access, whether it's football, computers, whatever it might be, and all of his sort of personal care requirements. He also had some specialised support requirements, but he was a very eager football lover, a mechanic, had passions for, cars and all sorts of sport. And for the O'Reilly family, I guess seeing a bit of a door just constantly, different people coming through, and some people working really, really well with Shane and others not quite right. And sometimes the person to get you out of bed in the morning wasn't necessarily the best person to take you to the football. And the family definitely had an experience, and so did Shane, of not feeling very empowered around the people that could come into their home and the people that Shane could pick. Because sometimes they'd get a great worker, next minute that worker was sort of taken off to work with someone else. So, I can see nods, and I often, when I tell that story, I see a lot of nods around the room, and it's quite a common experience. And so, it was probably about 8 or so years ago, Jordan saw these new technology platforms that were connecting consumers with products. I don't like to liken Hireup to Uber or any of those kind of things, but the concept of using technology to connect people was really booming. And Jordan thought, surely there's a better way of connecting people with a disability and their families to fantastic support workers across the country, and surely we could use technology. So he's a bit of a young entrepreneur and a go-getter. He got some fundings from some wonderful philanthropists in Victoria, and was able to kickstart Hireup. And so to date, we have about 20,000 people on Hireup, 10,000 disability support workers across the country, and about 20,000 people with a disability and their families nationally, and about 20,000 disability support workers nationally on the platform, approved, vetted, ready and raring to go. So over the last 5 years, a lot of blood, sweat and tears have gone into building what I believe to be a really fantastic, purposeful business. I think if you ever had the opportunity to come into our office or come along to some of our face-to-face events, you'll see that the people that are working behind the scenes are in it for the right reasons. We're not a big corporate. We're not run by a bunch of bankers. We're run by humans who really have deep care and commitment to solving these kind of problems. yeah, like I said, there's tens of thousands of people now on Hireup. The way in which people get on there is they create a profile on our platform, and once they're verified and checked and have a conversation with some of our wonderful service staff, they're able to start to search and connect with support workers that might fit their needs or share their interests. So that's sort of in a nutshell how it works. It's pretty straightforward. The way in which Hireup's growing is really through connecting with families through sessions like this, and really word of mouth. You know, we don't have a big marketing budget, but the way I guess that Hireup's really grown is that it's solved a need for people, that people are having a great experience and they're sharing their story like Lynn will be today. So that's probably in a nutshell, a bit of the Hireup story and where we're at today. I think some of the key other wins that you get with Hireup is we're well under the NDIS cap, which means, you know, I know that people's NDIS funding is precious and every dollar counts. So, you know, there is additional savings that come with using Hireup. We don't have to have lots of overheads because we use technology to make things really efficient. Hireup's right for some people, it's not right for others. It's right for people who want to use technology and who want to have a bit of control over their support workers and who comes in and out and who takes you to the football and who doesn't. But some people also don't want that administrative kind of responsibility. So it's really thinking about, have I got the energy and the commitment and the eagerness to get online and find the right person for me or the person that I'm supporting, my family member? And if so, Hireup could be a really, really fantastic pick for you. Hireup provides lots of training and support for our support workers. They're all employed by us as casual employees, so you don't have to worry about any responsibility or insurance or any of those kind of legal things that you know, a lot of people don't necessarily want to take care of. So we take care of all of that. It's almost like sort of your traditional disability service provider, just using technology to make things a little bit more efficient and for you to be able to have a bit more control. So on that note, and we're going to have lots of time, I think, at the end for questions, but I might hand over to Peter so he can kind of bring the platform to life for you.
Thanks very much, Poppy. Yeah, so what I thought we'd do is kind of show, obviously we're talking about Hireup but thought we'd show a little bit about how it works, because I think, you know, Hireup is obviously, there is this technology that underpins, but we've worked really hard and continue to work, you know, and always taking feedback about how we can make Hireup really easy to use. And we have people of all ages and all technical capability and interests on Hireup, using Hireup. And so it's definitely, you don't need to be a computer whiz or a, you know, maths genius or anything to use Hireup. I don't know what maths has got to do with it, but anyway, you don't need to be a computer whiz. So I thought I'd just show you, and I'm just going to share my screen. Hopefully this works on Zoom, catchphrase of 2020. Hopefully this works. Can everybody see my screen here?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Yeah. Wonderful. So this is the Hireup website. And this is our a good friend of ours, Bonnie. But yeah, this is just the homepage of the Hireup website, hireup.com.au, and this, you know, tells us a little bit about who we are, and, you know, if you want to, you know, see a little bit about Jordan's story, you know, that's kind of here, and a little bit about how Hireup works. So anyway, if people come to Hireup from Bailey House, we actually have a specific page that will kind of direct you, and it's a, you know, a Bailey House page. It says, you know, you can access support through Hireup if you're a family or a client, and I won't go through the whole process, but, you know, you would click this button saying you're looking for support for me, or I'm looking for support for someone else. And so that's kind of the process by which you sign up, and then there's a few kind of details that we'll collect and just you know, understand who you are and what sort of support you're looking for, so we can create a profile for you. And at the end of that process, it's all, you know, pretty straightforward here. You'll get a profile on Hireup. And so what this is showing a demonstration profile on Hireup. all the people on this profile are not actually real people. It's just something that we've got for the purpose of kind of, you know, illustrating how Hireup works. But yeah, I thought I'd kind of show it tonight. So this is, you know, if you're on Hireup and you log into Hireup, this is what you see. And so the thing at the top here is your Hireup week. So this is, you know, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I think this is the next 7 days, and it's got the bookings that you've got with various workers. You know, I think Natasha was talking about after hours, weekends. So, you know, this is obviously a booking on Sunday here, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on Sunday with a support worker called Dom G. You know, these ones are during the day, so these might not be so relevant, but you can kind of see for the next 7 days, who are the workers that I've got booked, and, you know, who's actually going to come. All of the booking management is there in the platform. So, you know, you've got here bookings that, you know, David J worked on Monday. He did an hour booking on Monday. You can approve that and say, yes, David, I saw David, he came. You know, it's all kind of built in here. And you've got here a team. So this is quite a large team. Most people probably won't have a team this large, but the really nice thing is you can kind of see who are the support workers I've been working with. And this is really going to the point that Poppy mentioned about consistency and you know, seeing the same support workers that you really like working with over and over again. So that's all in here, and jobs will come to in a second. But what I wanted to show you is a little bit about how people find support workers on Hireup. So you kind of get into Hireup, you do that profile, you fill in all your details, and you say, right, I'd like to find someone and see who might be relevant. And the search is one common way that people find workers on Hireup. Oh dear, I've just been kicked out. Okay, well, sorry. So I'm just going to pause this for a second and log back in. Sorry, team. 1 second. While I'm doing that, I'll just talk a little bit about how that works. So what we have is each support worker on Hireup, they have a profile just like each person who's looking for support. And what that profile does is allows you, if you're looking for a support worker, to learn a bit more about the support worker and what they do. Here we go. I can share my screen again, all logged in. So this is a search. Oh, it's a good question from Les. I'll just come back to you in a sec. So yeah, this is a kind of a search for support workers. This is a location in Sydney, but there are a whole lot of support workers here, and you can kind of see and learn a bit more about the support workers before you book them. And this is a really good thing because we find a lot of people want to know, you know, a little bit more about their particular support worker. This is a support worker called Ali. She's 31 years old, and yeah, a little bit about what she does. Yeah, there's a little bit of information about Ali. She's a student. She's trained in certain therapies, and she offers different supports through Hireup. You know, it's her availability and the kind of support preferences. So the point is to say that each support worker has a profile with a bit of information about them, and who they are and what they like doing. And this is really helpful because if you like the look of Ali and you think Ali's the sort of person I'd like to work with, you can click on this message button or this book button. You can message her and have a conversation, find out when she's available, or you can even book her in directly. And so it's very kind of interactive and simple. It's just a couple of clicks. The other thing that people do a lot on Hireup to find support, and Lynn might talk a little bit about this too, is they post jobs. So a job is a posting that you put up on the website where you ask for certain type of assistance. So here's a job that's asked for assistance with the bed routine, meal prep and personal care, sleep over shift. You post that job and you kind of say where it is, and that sends an email to support workers in that area and say, would you be interested in supporting Peter with assistance with bed routine, meal prep, personal care and sleep over? So I think, you know, what I wanted to say about this process was that it's, as Poppy said, it's a really great, you know, way of having a lot of control over the support workers that come after hours or on the weekends and work with you or your families. And the website is really set up to make it as easy as possible. We also have a large team of people. So, you know, we've got a website, but we've got almost 250 people, about 200 people who work at Hireup, and many of them work in what we call community support. So they're there to help folks navigate through this process, get started, on the platform. There is something goes awry, in the rare case it does, but they're really there to provide the support. If you're getting onto the profile, getting onto the Hireup website, you're not feeling as confident, there's a whole group of people who can help you get through that. And I think the kind of benefit the other side is you getting to control who you work with, and who comes to support you and your family. And I think that for the folks that we talk to, that's a really a great thing. So I'm happy to take kind of more questions after we hear from Lynn, who we're going to hear from next, about how all this website works. The reason I wanted to show it was just to kind of demystify a little bit, what we mean when we talk about platform and these points about choice and control. But I'll pause that there and stop sharing my screen, and then I might hand over to Lynn, who's going to talk a little bit about how she uses Hireup.
Yes, thank you, Peter. I suppose I started using Hireup might have been about 2 or 3 years ago. Because I travel interstate quite regular or on holidays, I was sick of trying to ask everybody, who do you know in Canberra? Who do you know in Sydney or whatever? So I found, of course, by fluke, I found Hireup, and I thought that's just what I wanted. So now if I go over, interstate, I can just put in my profile, you put your name and then you put your place where you want to go, and then all these support workers come up there. And to me, that's really good, because I had a provider and I didn't even know who was coming most of the time. What happens is, with a normal, what I call an additional provider, they used to say, oh, so-and-so sick, they can't come, and you'd be sitting there waiting, you're thinking, who's coming? And sometimes, I like to know, and I do have a husband who likes to know as well. So, he used to say, who's coming tonight? I said, who knows? We'll see when they knock on that door. And that was very, really bad. So that's when I decided Hireup was fantastic, because you can actually see what the person's like before they even walk into the door, just by what they've got. I just think it's great. I just love the idea I'm in control, not the organisation. And I guess too, because I am a disabled advocate and a speaker, so I do get asked to go to all different parts of the country to work. So for me, it's just fantastic. Thank you. I can keep talking, but I've got nothing else to say on that.
I'm sure if people have questions around sort of how Lynn uses it, we'd love to take them at the end. And thank you, Lynn. Definitely highlighting, I guess, some of the flexibilities, not just around sort of getting your day-to-day support needs met and things on the evenings and weekends, but actually thinking about holiday support. If you and your loved one are going away on holidays, maybe to another state, Hireup's a really interesting platform where you can log on and find someone in Queensland who maybe might be able to, come along to Movie World with you, or do a bit of support in the morning or the evening for your loved one to be able to go out and have their own dinner, or whatever that might be. But that's some of the real benefits of Hireup as a national platform, having 20,000 support workers that are vetted and checked and ready to go right across Australia. People are using it in all sorts of wonderful ways. Interstate holidays, international holidays. Not that any of us are having any of those international ones anytime soon, but at least we've got a platform ready to go for those kind of opportunities. So thanks for that, Lynn. Natasha, I don't know if we wanted to just talk a little bit to, I guess, some of the, apart from Hireup and Bailey House wanting to work together because we're two values-aligned organisations, and we've been talking for years about all of the different wonderful things that we can do together, from sharing ideas and stories to formal partnerships. There's a real opportunity that we've taken up with Bailey House, or are working with Bailey House, and I'll talk to some of the story behind that as well. But over to you, Natasha.
Yeah, thank you. We haven't really advertised an external business before like this, I guess, and That may or may not be a bad move for us. No, I'm not sure. It's good because we don't do a lot in the after hours space. We want to be doing more, and maybe one day we will, but at this point we don't. And we need to be responsive to what families are needing at the moment. And a lot of people are needing that after hours and weekend support. And I'd be much more comfortable recommending a place like Hireup, where I know that the staff are being trained, are being put through all sorts of certificates and are being monitored, than recommend someone who's not. Hireup have got a wonderful initiative called the 1% program as well. So that means if you engage in the Hireup program through the Bailey House website, or does it have to be through the Bailey House website, Peter?
Yes. Yes. But or if you let us know that you're coming through, we'll work it out.
Yeah, because you might already have a profile or something. But you can opt to put 1% towards a Bailey House program. So at the moment, we're looking at putting that towards our arts program, looking at expanding the arts program a little bit into an arts hub, or like a targeted activity is what we're looking at doing. So that's a really good initiative for us and you as well, that you're giving back into Bailey House as well by choosing to partner with Hireup like we are.
And I might just, thanks for that, Natasha. I might just add, why is someone like Hireup doing this, and what's the purpose behind it? And I think there's a few key things. From the very, very beginning, Jordan and Laura had 3 ambitions with Hireup. The first, which I think we're on our way, which was to create a really successful one-to-one support platform that's connecting people and having genuine social impact. But the second 2 other outcomes and things that they really wanted to achieve, knowing that we were going to be a large, for-purpose, for-profit business, we had the opportunity to do something more. So something more with our profits, and also as an organisation that was going to employ a lot of people, employ more people with a disability. So we have 3 really key ambitions, and working with Bailey House and a number of other organisations. This is our first step into, I guess it's the philanthropy and impact space. We are going to be a large and profitable business, but we don't have people who just want profits. They want to see genuine impact in the sector. And for us, part of that impact is going to be shown by finding wonderful organisations, disability services right across Australia, who are doing great work, who we can support scaling that. So the 1% program, it's actually quite a well-known model with other probably large businesses, where they are giving back 1% of their revenue, their business revenue, to organisations that are doing really good work to increase, I guess, the impact. So there's a couple of wonderful organisations across Australia that we're starting to work with. Bailey House is one of them in Victoria. And so, yeah, it's a choice. It's an option for people who are really passionate about the Bailey House work and who seem to find Hireup as a great place to sort of find and connect with support workers and choose to reinvest 1% of their bookings back to Hireup. It's not additional. That's out of Hireup's pocket. We're actually not even a very profitable business just yet, but it makes a lot of sense for us right now in the stage that we are as a business to be committing to this really early and not waiting down the track till when we're big and we've got lots of other people involved. That actually we want this to be embedded as a true part of a foundation of our business. So that's the opportunity that exists. You can obviously just sign up and enjoy Hireup and not worry about any of the 1%. But I guess if you're getting great experience at Bailey House and you'd love to have an opportunity to extend your impact through one of those choices, then it's all yours. So I'll pause there. Peter or Natasha, I don't know if there's extra that we need to share, or if we wanted to hand it over to questions.
Yeah, questions. I think I'm happy to kind of moderate a little bit the questions. So happy if folks have questions, if you just take yourself off mute and ask questions. Obviously, we might have everyone asking at the same time, but that's also fine. Might have no one asking. But I think we'll just kind of work it out with Zoom. If you'd like to put the question in the chat, that's also a great way to do it. And I might just farm out questions to different folks. maybe we might start with Les's question in the chat, which I think was covered by what you just talked about there, Poppy, which
You've
is
got a little bit more. You've got, I can see a hand being raised, Les.
Great.
Yeah, thanks. And thanks for the session, guys. Actually, I just posted a job before I got on this call, and I've had 8 responses while I've been on this call from various carers putting their hands up, which is pretty phenomenal.
Wow.
I've got a question around your certification and training and skill checking. I mean, how virtual is that? Are you actually eyeballing these people, the potential carers? Are you taking them through, real-time physical certifications, or is it all online and virtual?
Yeah, really great question, Les. So there's no, I think put simply, no, we don't do lots of face-to-face training. We have a lot of training though for our support workers, and we do a lot of let's say virtual engagement. So when a support worker comes on, there's a few mandatory checks and balances that they must have, along with us having a phone screening chat and making sure that they're the right person to join the Hireup community, and then additional training that they do once they come on. But I think coming onto the Hireup platform, you can be really reassured that all support workers will have the following. So they'll have the relevant working with children's check for the relevant state. So most states have a different kind of check. In Victoria, there's some additional screening processes. So the disability exclusion scheme, worker exclusion scheme. So we have to put workers into there to make sure that they're not excluded from working from the disability sector. They must have first aid or CPR. They must provide us with 2 references that we check and make sure that these are real people and they've got good values and are fit and ready to work, and a national police check. So all of those things are done and confirmed by us, and we obviously have a compliance team that makes sure that they're all up to date. The reason we don't set mandatory qualifications or have mandatory face-to-face training is part of, I guess, growing the Hireup network is what might work for someone on the weekend to kick a soccer ball around may not need, Cert 3s and 4s and lots of face-to-face training, but actually face-to-face and Cert 3s and 4s might be really perfect in exactly what another person might need. So we've made sure that actually we've opened that bar in terms of who can join the Hireup platform, but we have all of the relevant training and support for people who do need to provide more specialised support. So we have induction modules that all workers must do, as well as the NDIS orientation module. And those modules take workers through things around safe supports, understanding the purpose and the NDIS and the real principles around choice and control. So some of those key fundamentals. And then we have a bunch of specialised support modules. So if your person requires things like behaviour support or anything that relates to restrictive practice, we have a specialised team that ensures that workers do our training and have regular engagement with our team. So these are sort of behaviour support practitioners, people that are really experienced. Then we've got another team who are looking after maybe more of the medical kind of type support. So if people needed things like personal care or bowel care or tube feeding or any of those kind of activities, we've got relevant training and teams who are able to make sure that people are delivering that support safely and they've got the right skills and experience to do so. So where someone might need face-to-face training, we've got lots of partners around the states who we get workers out to. But so that's the model. It's slightly different, but in terms of your typical model of workers coming in and having lots of sort of face-to-face training. But so far to date, we're delivering a lot of safe support. It's working for a lot of families and people with a disability, as well as upskilling support workers with our in-house designed modules. So we haven't just sort of bought stuff off the shelf. Does that answer it, Les? Great, fab.
Sorry to keep you talking, Poppy, but there's a question here from Colin. I gather Hireup in the chat. I gather Hireup is basically a labour hire company. Are Hireup workers, employees or contractors how does Hireup guarantee that they're paid correctly? So I think this is a great question, and is yeah. I'll hand it over to you.
Wonderful question, Colin. And I guess one of the key things about the Hireup difference is that we employ all of our disability support workers. They come on as casual employees. We follow the SHADS award, which is the Social and Community and Home Care Award for the disability sector. So everything from overtime to pay levels to different award requirements, we have that really tight. Yeah, we have a traditional employment model. There are a number of other platforms in the disability sector that are these kind of matching platforms that might on the surface look the same, but I think one of the really key differences is that they are a contractor model. Hireup is a NDIS registered provider. We have to go through this big audit process to make sure that all of our policies and procedures and our workers and everyone are engaged in a way that the NDIS would be able to give us the big tick. A contractor model isn't a registered provider. So Bailey House would be a registered provider. Probably some of the other large not-for-profits that you would work with are registered providers that I would say more often than not would employ all of their disability support workers. But yeah, our model, the labour hire concept is interesting in terms of, yes, our workforce is labour for you to be able to access, so that ease of access and being able to find people when you need them. That concept kind of, I guess, rings true to our model, but I would say we're more of a tech-enabled traditional disability service provider. I think we've got the roots and the heart of a disability service provider and just some pretty bright people who build some pretty spunky technology to bring it all to life. Does that answer that question, Colin?
Nice.
Sure thing, Charlene.
Oh, hi. Sorry, I couldn't get access in for the first 10 minutes, so you might have already talked about this. But yeah, I think you mentioned something about pricing, and does it depend on the qualifications that you need at the support worker that depends on the price? And I'll just explain, I'm a nurse and a midwife myself. I have an adult son with an intellectual disability. I also work for a nursing agency, and so I'm looking at it from both perspectives to see how it works. Yeah. So how does it work? What you talked about, you use this particular funding level, which I hadn't heard of before.
So I can definitely talk to our pricing. Peter, I don't know if at the same time, maybe you just want to get our pricing page on the Hireup website up. So Hireup, it's got a pretty straightforward pricing model. Obviously different prices for different times of the day, because we have to pay workers different rates for different times of the day. So we've got a standard rate, and that ensures that all of the workers that you're working with are paid actually above the award. So what we make sure that all workers, when they come in, they're actually paid above the award, because they could be doing anything from supporting someone with maybe, let's say, more complex personal care through to maybe just kicking a soccer ball around on the weekend. We make sure that when every worker comes on, they're paid at a really good base level. So these are the prices that Hireup's got up on the website. You can see for a weekday between 6 and 8 p.m, it's $49.20. We also have which is visible on the website, the disability support worker rates, which I think you probably often wouldn't find that typically on a service provider's page, what the workers are getting paid and what you're getting charged. So you can work out the difference there. So yeah, for support workers, they're casual employees, they're getting paid $34.51 for just that typical hour of support. So, and then the shifts change, and then obviously the pricing changes. But there is additional levels that Hireup support workers can be paid. So we have a standard level, and then there is 4 levels above that, which a person with a disability or a family can choose to pay support workers at a higher level. So levels 1, 2, and 3 all come in under the NDIS cap. Levels 3 and 4 are available for people who are self-managed. And why we have those additional levels is what we've found is people like to build a team, you know, and you bring everyone in and at that standard level, but maybe Julie and John, who have been with you for a year, who are really loyal and really trusted support workers, you might say, actually, I'd love this ability to give them a promotion, to, you know, bring them up to level 2, which actually still would save you NDIS funds. Then maybe you might have a team leader. If you've got 5 support workers, actually you might sort of go, look, I want someone to sort of help do a little bit more of the support and coordination. So you might put someone up to level 3. So we've got those additional levels. That's dictated not by the support worker, but by the family or the person with a disability. And our team at the back end can change those levels for support workers. But I think you can be really confident knowing that when you come in and you use just the standard level, which is just what's automatically applied, your support workers will be paid really well, and you'll be still saving NDIS funds.
And sorry, because I didn't hear if you talked about it earlier about how the payment process and happens, and does the support worker get paid and tax taken out and things like that?
Great. We probably didn't touch on all of that detail, but I can give you the quick rundown. So our booking process happens, it's a 4-step booking process. So you book the worker says, yep, I can do it. They confirm the shift. Hopefully you go off and have a wonderful shift. After the shift, the worker goes in and goes, yes, those were the hours I did, or actually, no, I stayed an extra hour, so they can edit it in. So they do that, and then it comes to you for final sign-off. So that ensures that you've controlled the booking and you've given it final sign-off. No one's getting paid when they shouldn't be, and no one's being charged when they shouldn't be. So that's the 4-step booking process. We then either claim or invoice on a fortnightly basis. So if you're NDIA managed, we claim on a weekly basis, and if you're plan or self-managed, we will send you an invoice on a Monday. Support workers get paid on a fortnightly on a Thursday. And part of that process as employees is we pay the tax, we pay the super, all of those things are automated. So all support workers have to worry about is obviously keeping their docs up to date, making sure they're replying to messages and engaging in the platform and approving their bookings. So really straightforward for support workers.
Do the support workers have to have their own business number or anything?
No.
I'm getting frustrated working for a nursing agency and getting paid far less when what you're offering is far better.
Well, there you go. Yeah, that's no. So all Hireup employees all Hireup support workers are employees. They're not contractors. So when you come onto Hireup, it's like applying for a typical role as a disability support worker with a traditional agency. It's not a labour hire business. It's not a contractor model. You don't need an ABN. You don't have to worry about insurance or setting up, an account to put your tax aside. We take care of all of that for you. You can feel really confident that everything from your tax, your super and your fortnightly pay is taken care of, and all of your wraparound insurance. And I think there was a question in there maybe from Colin around what insurance is covered. So it's all of the typical insurances that you would have. So we have workers' compensation for workers. So if something happens, here we go. And we can share all of these links. Workers' compensation, a really wonderful return to work team at Hireup. We know that, it's a physical role and things can happen. And we've got a wonderful team that gets support workers back to work in a really healthy and sustainable way. And we're really being recognised as a bit of a leader in this space. We've got public liability insurance in case there's any harm done, and professional indemnity insurance. So that's coverage for support workers, and obviously if anything is said or sort of done that maybe additionally causes any harm to you, an individual, or the business. So all of those insurances like you would expect from Bailey House or any other disability service provider.
And do your support workers or whatever write notes about the visit that they've done? Because I know some agencies don't.
Yeah, some notes can be provided throughout the booking process. So we ask sort of what's planning to be happening on the shift. Support workers then post notes after the shift. So all of that is there in the platform. Some people love that. Some people hate it. Some people have their own systems at home and diaries and all of that sort of thing. So nothing is mandatory. The way that we really like the process to be led is, what does that family or individual require? What's important to them in terms of what notes are kept? and then we ask for support workers to follow that process.
And-
Time to time, we need a bit of information to make sure we meet our audit requirements, our registration requirements, but we're not asking workers to do highly detailed notes.
No, but what I was just, because we've had a situation with our son where we had a support worker, and something happened one day and my son was really distressed, and obviously something major had happened. I would love to have him have written notes, you know, because we put in a formal complaint and it was, goodness knows what ended up happening. I know this person is still working as a support person, which horrifies me, you know, so that's why I know myself, I always write notes on all my clients. I have to. That's why I'm asking about that. So is there a record of what happens with each visit, just so if there's anything that needs to be looked back on, it can be, just to check that everything's legit, how it's meant to be going?
Yeah. So yeah, I would just be directing that kind of information. So if you want during, post and all sorts of notes, then the platform has the ability to be capturing all of that. Obviously, you can also ask a support worker. Some people prefer a diary and they prefer what did we do and how did it go and what were the behaviours and what were the, you know, what did you have for lunch, all of that sort of thing kept in a physical diary. So we like it to be, as I said, sort of really directed by the family or the person with a disability, but we have all the functionality there to be able to do it through the platform.
And how does it work? Because is your system relying on the support worker to log hours exact and kilometres, how, especially the travelling side of things?
Yeah.
How do we know that that's accurate, the number of Ks that they're logging to take out?
Yeah. Great question. I think we had some other questions in there about vehicles and transport. So yes, if a worker has on their profile that they are willing and happy to provide transport and use their vehicle, there are two things. So you could be happy to provide transport and use a family's vehicle, or happy to provide transport and use your own. We make sure that we have got registration and all of the relevant insurance and those sorts of details. We capture that right at the beginning. Within the Hireup booking process, a person with disability or a family member can click a button to say, I allow this person to claim kilometres. So kilometres are something that can be added into the shift. So if a support worker uses their vehicle on shift, they add those kilometres to the booking. And like I said in the beginning, the family member creates the booking. The support worker says, yes, I can do it. They then go and work together. The support worker then goes in and says, yep, they were the hours I did. And also I did 50 kilometres and we went from, I'm trying to think of a Melbourne location, Melbourne Racecourse to the airport. And they'll add in those kilometres and then it'll come to you to sign off. So you'll see the full shift total and you'll see the kilometres and you'll go, yes, I approve that booking. It happened. Support worker gets paid and you get invoiced. So the support workers rate, and it's just slipped from my head, I think it's moved to 80 cents a kilometre. We follow the SHADS award, and then Hireup claims it at an 85 cents, claims 85 cents. So, 5 cents there for us to be able to sort of process and make sure that workers' insurance and all of those sort of things are kept up to date. So using the vehicles is really nice and straightforward. I think there's just another question in here quickly.
Yeah, there's just a question from Pat Poppy, which I'm happy to take, which is about, would you have someone with a medical nursing background to go to a medical appointment with a client? So this is a great question, Pat, and just to and something that a lot of people use Hireup for with an area that it's a related area, but with allied health, we call therapy support. So Hireup support workers are not therapy assistants, but we do find a lot of people like to use Hireup support workers in between appointments, in between therapy appointments, allied health appointments. And you could imagine this with a medical appointment to help implement plans from, that have been developed by allied health professionals or potentially also medical professionals too, if they had the right kind of qualifications and skills and experience. So it is a common thing that you'll have support workers come to appointments. Obviously, transport to appointments is a kind of independent category of support that a lot of people use Hireup for, but you could also have a circumstance where you had support workers come to appointments and then help with implementing plans in between. Certainly, there are people on Hireup with medical and nursing backgrounds. You know, they may have been kind of registered nurses in the past, and they may be registered nurses now. And if you post a job and said, I'm looking for someone with a medical or nursing background, you might be able to find people. We don't kind of have a separate stream of people who are registered nurses. I think it's important to say that, but there's a lot of different people in Hireup, and I think if you kind of if you were specifying that in the job that Les was talking about earlier, just having posted a job and saying, I'm looking for someone with these experiences to do these sorts of support, that might be a really great way to find someone who can help with that.
And I understand you often refer to support workers doing different levels of disability certificates. If you're a nurse and not done that, how does that work out?
No, you're fine. There's no minimum qualifications or certificates to join the Hireup platform, just the checks and balances that we mentioned earlier. Yeah. I think we might have answered the questions. That the minimum hours, just a 1 hour minimum. The support workers are employed under the home care stream of the SHADS award. That's why there's 1 hour minimums. And yes, absolutely, you can definitely lock in regular bookings and they'll keep going until you sort of cancel. And obviously if the booking changes, the support worker can edit them, or you can delete the booking and create another one.
Can I just ask another question? If you're taking someone to a medical appointment and you obviously got held up and going to be longer, who do you go to accountable for? Who do you let? Is it just the person that's made the booking that you let know that you're going to be over? Because medical appointments can be easy an hour over and stuff. So how do you get that approval to stay on and continue and get paid through Hireup?
Yeah, I'd just be making sure you have a conversation about it. And those kind of shifts where you know that things might could have the potential to go over, that there's a good conversation there. You've got people's details, you give someone a ring, and then you just edit the booking in there. That's definitely not something that we get feedback on as being an issue. People, I think the Hireup platform really encourages, in the Hireup model, communication. We don't need to be in between that. The best thing is for a support worker to be chatting to a family member about the nuts and bolts. There was a question there. Was that from Michelle? Did you raise your hand?
Sorry, I've actually signed up with Hireup ages ago, but we were still getting ourselves sorted out. One of the things that came up, I think, was people noticing that we're in the area and approaching us, because that's what workers can do as well, and realising that some of these were young women. I've got a young man who and just that sort of duty of care type of idea around that. I guess it's just it's got to be sensible as parents or guardians on who is matched up. But that was a question that as a keen young woman wanted to support my son on the weekend, and I just thought maybe not. So I think in navigating that.
Yeah, I think in those sort of situations, try and put as much as in terms of your personal preferences on your profile. So, if your son's name is John really prefers to work with males. If you're a male in the local area, we'd love to hear from you. Females, not at this point. There's making sure you put that kind of detail in your profile. But I think the additional thing, if you really feel overwhelmed, because like someone mentioned earlier, they just posted a job and they had 8 people interested. So we've got lots of wonderful, eager support workers. One of the other things that you can do if you're a little overwhelmed and you just want to do the reaching out is you can pop your profile on hidden and just wait to do the reach out yourself, or wait to sort of shortlist some support workers and then reach out. So you don't always have to be visible to everyone.
Thanks.
All righty. Peter, did you want to?
Yeah, I just want to check, is there any last questions anyone had top of mind? Otherwise, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the chat a few things. I'm going to firstly put my email address. So if there are questions we didn't get to, or things that people wanted to kind of ask about, feel free to send me an email. I'll coordinate with Poppy and Pat and Lynn and Natasha, and we can get back to you. So my email is very simple. It's just peter@hireup.com, and any question or follow-up is great, whether it's about any of the things we've discussed today or other ideas, big questions, small questions, anything. So please feel free to send me an email, and we can coordinate with the other Hireup folks in Bailey House on the call. And the second thing I'm just going to put in the chat is the link to the Hireup page on the Bailey House website, which has a little bit more information about Hireup. Most of it's been covered today, and then some the information there about if you're interested in joining Hireup, and also just some kind of general information, more information on Hireup. This is the website. It's just baileyhouse.org.au/Hireup, all one word. Awesome.
I found this really useful, so thank you, because I've heard of Hireup but never knew how it all works, both as a perspective of a mother with an adult son with a disability, but also as a nurse and working out in the community. So it's been quite useful.
Thanks, Charlene. It's been lovely from our side to hear from you directly, and we really appreciate it. I guess we're kind of at time, so I won't take up too much more of your night. You've got other things to go to and get to, but just to say, our doors are always open. You can send us an email, peter@hireup.com.au, or you can have a look at that page on the Bailey House website. I just want to finish by saying an incredible thanks to Natasha and to Justin from Bailey House for putting this together and for making it happen. We at Hireup are incredibly proud to be working with you, and incredibly proud to say that we are able to partner with Bailey House. So thank you very much to both of you, and thank you to everyone for joining tonight. Hope you have a lovely evening, and that's it. Please get in touch at any time.
Great presentation, guys. That was really clear and everything was there. So thank you very much.
Yeah, very impressive. That'll be our homework for tonight.
Good luck, everyone. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Thanks, Natasha.
Bye. Bye.